Plot twist nobody saw coming? Prince William sat before millions of listeners and seemed to choose his words with surgical precision. But even more fascinating was what he refused to mention. Something truly extraordinary unfolded. No chaos, no shouting, no official royal statement, no explosive showdown, no public attacks. Yet, amid growing speculation surrounding the monarchy's future, Harry and Meghan may have received the most deafening message imaginable without a single direct word being thrown their way. And that is exactly why this jaw-dropping saga has royal watchers dissecting every
who has doubted me over the past decade about this evil woman now needs to eat some humble pie.
Who does this? Who behaves like this?
My sources are saying that William no longer recognizes his brother. He basically says he doesn't know who this kid is. Harry has become petulant. He's become vengeful. He's very angry at all times. And William's just kind of like, hey, who the heck are you? And yes, they do blame Meghan.
Meghan Markle is threatening to sue the British royal family and Prince William if her titles are removed.
Harry has gotten with Meghan, and he now feels he has to protect her and, defend her at all costs, even when there's bad behavior.
For years, the never-ending and wildly publicized feud involving Prince William, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle has played out through interviews, documentaries, books, leaked reports, and an avalanche of headlines. But now, an even bigger question is taking center stage. What if the most revealing message was never spoken out loud? What if it arrived through silence instead? Through names intentionally left untouched? Through people quietly removed from the conversation, while the future king appeared to paint a completely different vision of the monarchy he hopes to lead? The timing could hardly be more explosive. Amid mounting attention and non-stop speculation, reports continue swirling that Meghan is allegedly furious over ongoing discussions involving royal titles and their future. Questions surrounding status, succession, influence, and royal authority have become impossible to ignore. Behind palace walls, titles are far more than decorative labels. They represent power. They represent legitimacy. They represent access. They represent currency. And whenever titles enter the conversation, emotions inevitably erupt. What makes this unexpectedly evolving situation so fascinating is the growing belief that Prince William may have already decided exactly how he plans to deal with the Sussex situation once the crown eventually...
Catherine, because I just wanted to say how well she did in Italy. She's just come back. That was her first foray out there since her recovery. Yeah. How proud of you are.
So proud. I'm very, very proud. She's been amazing. She's been through so much in the last couple of years, particularly.
Tell you for a fact that my sources that work under William and Catherine tell me that she is not a topic of conversation. She is not on their radar.
Oh, okay.
Harry and Meghan, what they do is not on their radar.
At the very same time, another juicy layer of intrigue was quietly unfolding behind palace doors. Discussions surrounding Harry's position, future responsibilities, and constitutional roles kept fueling endless speculation. Every move made by King Charles seemed to spark fresh questions. Every decision appeared to slowly shift the balance of power. Every appointment brought brand new tensions. But beneath all those debates sat one central issue: Meghan. Time and again, analysts, commentators, biographers, and palace insiders kept circling back to the exact same conclusion. Everything seemed connected to the Sussex marriage. The future of titles, the future of reconciliation, the future of royal relationships, the future of Harry's role. It all appeared tied to one complicated relationship that continues dividing the royal family years after their departure. Some believe Prince William's eventual approach will be completely uncompromising. Others believe time could eventually soften his stance. But even among those expecting reconciliation someday, there is widespread agreement that nothing changes while the current situation remains exactly as it is. That possibility creates a fascinating contradiction.
About Catherine, because I just wanted to say how well she did in Italy. She's just come back. That was her first foray out there since her recovery. Yeah. How proud of you are.
So proud. I'm very, very proud. She's been amazing. She's been through so much in the last couple of years, particularly.
Tell you for a fact that my sources that work under William and Catherine tell me that she is not a topic of conversation. She is not on their radar.
Oh, okay.
Harry and Meghan, what they do is not on their radar. They are not.
As speculation reached new heights, another fascinating development quietly grabbed attention. Several respected royal biographers appeared to be arriving at strikingly similar conclusions about Prince William's future intentions. Different sources, different methods, different investigations, yet surprisingly similar assessments. That coincidence raised plenty of eyebrows, because when independent observers begin reaching the same destination, people naturally start wondering whether they are all spotting the exact same clues. Meanwhile, journalists kept examining subtle changes inside royal operations. Tiny shifts, small adjustments, barely noticeable developments, the kind ordinary people might completely miss, but royal watchers notice absolutely everything. A missing invitation, an absent photograph, a changed seating arrangement, a name omitted from a speech. Nothing escapes scrutiny. Then yet another intriguing narrative emerged. The possibility of eventual reconciliation between Harry and King Charles, a possibility that continued fueling endless debates among commentators and royal observers everywhere, keeping the rumor mill spinning faster than ever.
Tricky with names and that kind of thing. So just simply Amanda is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yes, I'll lose my title this morning. I was hoping for Dame, but it's not come yet, William. I'll talk to you about that
His
later.
Royal Highness.
His Royal Highness. Oh my good, grippy cream. You can't beat clotted cream. Now, Prince William, what do you do? Think carefully.
I love that I'm the authority on that.
Here's the big debate. Scones or scones? Scones. I just feel like if you say it really fast, people are like, yeah, you said it the right way. But he's asked about this. And this is, again, one of those cute, quirky, safe morning show questions. What goes first? Your clotted cream or your jam? I love the fact that he's definitely trying to distance himself as the expert on the debate. He brings up his...
At first, many observers brushed off reconciliation stories as wishful thinking, clever public relations, strategic leaks, and carefully crafted headlines. But eventually, some commentators started noticing something unusual. Messages appeared to be coming from multiple directions at the same time. Harry's side seemed to signal openness. The king's side also seemed to signal openness. The messaging looked strangely coordinated, almost perfectly synchronized. That realization sparked growing whispers about behind-the-scenes efforts aimed at repairing fractured relationships. Not publicly, but quietly, carefully, and strategically. Yet amid all those reports, one office remained noticeably silent. Prince William's. And that silence instantly became part of the drama, because whenever everyone else starts talking and one person refuses to join the conversation, but then new investigations and biographies poured gasoline onto an already blazing fire. Among them was a particularly explosive look at Prince William's future reign and his reported plans concerning Harry and Meghan. What made these claims stand out wasn't just the content itself. It was the reputation of the people making them. These were not random social media rumors. These were not anonymous internet theories. Instead, these claims came from veteran investigators who had spent decades examining powerful institutions. And according to those accounts, William may have reached certain conclusions a long time ago. The deeper investigators dug into those reports, the more one theme kept surfacing. Control. Not public control. Not political control. Royal control. The kind of control that determines who represents the monarchy, who benefits from its prestige, and who remains inside that exclusive circle of royal influence. That possibility changes absolutely everything, because suddenly this is no longer just a story about wounded feelings between brothers. It becomes a story about the future direction of the crown itself. According to reports discussed by several commentators, Prince William allegedly views certain decisions through a constitutional lens rather than an emotional one. And if that is true, then every future choice becomes far more significant. Every title, every role, every privilege, every connection, everything gets re-examined through the eyes of a future king. Then came one of the most jaw-dropping observations of all. The alleged exclusion of Harry from key royal moments. Not loud exclusions, not dramatic ones, but quiet and carefully executed moves, the kind that spark headlines precisely because nobody bothers explaining them. And that is exactly what makes royal silence so powerful. The absence of explanations forces everyone else to speculate. The public starts connecting dots. Journalists begin comparing. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer just about Prince William. It had grown into something far bigger. Financial pressures, public image, commercial value, brand power. Because whether supporters liked it or not, the Sussex name had evolved into a global business empire. Every interview, every documentary, every appearance, every contract, every product launch, everything benefited from one undeniable reality, royal association. And that brings us directly to the question many analysts keep asking. What happens if those royal connections begin to weaken? What happens if titles suddenly become vulnerable? What happens if the very thing that gives the brand its prestige starts facing uncertainty? That question sits right at the heart of this entire controversy. Because titles are not merely ceremonial. They create value. They attract attention. They open doors. And if someone holds the authority to change that reality, the consequences stretch far beyond palace walls. What emerges from all this is the image of a future monarch who may already be thinking several moves ahead. Not emotionally, strategically. According to reports, William understands exactly where the pressure points exist and precisely how royal authority can influence outcomes. Whether those reports are entirely accurate remains impossible to verify, but the perception itself has become a major part of the story. Meanwhile, another revealing detail kept haunting observers. During hours of public conversation, William repeatedly highlighted Catherine, his children, his grandmother, family traditions, personal memories, football, and the struggles surrounding illness. He spoke warmly. He spoke naturally. He sounded relatable. Yet those missing names stayed missing. And that silence became impossible to ignore because royal families rarely communicate like ordinary families. They communicate through gestures, appearances, attendance, invitations, acknowledgments, and omissions. Every tiny detail carries meaning. When William spoke about Catherine's strength during difficult health challenges, many listeners heard sincerity. When he discussed family life, many heard gratitude. When he remembered his grandmother, many heard affection. But when certain people never entered the conversation at all, many heard something entirely different. Distance. Deliberate distance. The kind that cannot simply be dismissed as coincidence. Perhaps that is why this moment continues generating so much attention. Not because William launched an attack, not because he issued threats, not because he publicly criticized Harry or Meghan. He did none of those things. Instead, he did something that may have been even more revealing. He painted a picture of the monarchy he values, the family he prioritizes, and the future he appears determined to protect. And maybe that is the real reason this story refuses to disappear. Because one day, the transition everyone quietly anticipates will finally arrive. One day, William will no longer be the Prince of Wales. He will be king. And when that moment arrives, every silence, every omission, every carefully chosen word from years earlier will suddenly be examined through a completely different lens. Perhaps the biggest message was never spoken at all. Perhaps it was hidden inside the empty spaces, the names that never appeared, the acknowledgments that never came, the silence that lasted for hours. And if royal history has taught observers anything, it is that sometimes the most powerful statement inside a palace is the one nobody says out loud. The story may seem quiet today, but beneath that silence, something much bigger may already be taking shape. And royal watchers everywhere are still waiting to see what happens when that silence finally transforms into action.